G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. We are here on Dry Arabia casting some brand new Master of Realms. Ladies and gentlemen, it's EGC TV's brand new event. It's just started, only just started this weekend, but it'll be going next weekend as well. We're going to dive in and check out a game that happened. It was, I don't know how it went, I'll be honest with you guys, but I will say right now, it's an interesting matchup because we've got the worst Civ against the best Civ. Now, I don't want to say the worst Civ against the best Civ, even though I just did say that, but you've got an S-tier Civ here in the Byzantines up against Order of the Dragon, a civilization that many consider to be not really that competitive. So, without further ado, let's introduce our players for today. Spawning in on the south side of the map in the color blue, playing as the Byzantine, representing my insanity, it's Zertan. And on the north side of the map, in the color yellow, playing as the Order of the Dragon, representing Team HN, it's Hung ADC. Now, I don't know whether it's Hung ADC or Hung ADC, but I'll be honest with you, it's very hard for me to say Hung ADC, because it just, in my head, as a guy, mid-30s, who's played League of Legends, I just can't help but think of, like, an ADC with a really big stick walking around, and ADCs typically have guns. They got weapons, but it's not sticks. It's more, you know, it's more pew-pew, which arguably some sticks do that. Anyway, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm looking forward to this game. This is obviously a 1v1. We've been doing a lot of FFA content on the channel recently. I'm excited to get back into some 1v1. I actually haven't played a single 1v1 yet in Season 7. So while we're being a little bit of a surprise here for this matchup, I'm confident we'll know roughly where they're going to be going here. Of course, the Order of the Dragon, they don't need to, but they really, really want to try and pick up as many relics as they possibly can. So hopefully we see Hung look to do that. But one thing to note, though, is he has moved out a lot of villages early onto the deer. He's picked up survival techniques as well, which is nice to see. Left a couple of villages back home. Obviously, it's a little bit of walking distance going on here. And 5 villages, especially with survival techniques already, it is quite a bit of food that's coming through. Anyway, Age Up's now on the way in. It looks like Zertan's going to be throwing down the Grand Winery. Nice little spot here. Not rushing it up too much. Only the 4 vills on the landmark. So not super duper fast. We have seen players do upwards of like 10 villages on this landmark on the berries, which can be very, very exciting to see. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it will be the Minework Palace that gets put down. I will also note, because we are quite early in this game, 3 minutes. Just remember, I am still traveling at the moment. So at the moment, the date is the 29th of the 5th for me. So it probably will be the 29th of the 5th for most of you guys out there as well. So I am still traveling, which is why if you hear differences in my voice, or if you see that the quality's not as good as it used to be, so obviously we used to run 4K content, now we're only doing 1080p content. That's because the laptop that I've got is not fit for purpose. Let's just put it that way. I regret purchasing it, but hey, I've made the purchase. I've committed to it. Now, you know, I've made my bed. I'll sleep in it now. But have a look at this. Speaking of sleeping, you're going to be counting sheep when you see the amount of sheep that Hung ADC is got. That is a lot of sheep right there, but fortunately we don't have to count them. We can just click and hover over them. 10 sheep, nice and early. And Zertan's obviously going to spot that out. Now remember, Zertan's a very good player as well. I don't know too much about Hung, but I do know, I do suspect he's from Vietnam with a name like this. Either that or he's a big fan of League of Legends. One of the two. But I don't know too much about him. I suspect he's probably in with like the VNS cool crowd. But as I said, I don't know a huge amount about it. But meanwhile, we've now got that wheelbarrow coming up. Age Up on the other side of the map and straight onto the berries. Have a look at this. 9 vills on the berries for Zertan. Before the 4-minute mark, he ages up, throws down that aqueduct, doesn't forget it. That's one of the big mistakes I often make playing as the Byzantines. I forget that second aqueduct. Minework Palace now going to be coming up here. Quite a fair few vills on wood as well. So it looks like it will be some feudal age units that are going to be coming out here, which I think makes a lot of sense, especially against the Byzantines. Oh, a little bit of lag right there. Oh, I'm getting quite a bit of lag, actually. Hold your horses. All right, hold on. We're okay. So let me tell you a little bit about why we're probably getting lag. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I purchased a laptop because I checked like the recommended values that I need for Age of Empires 4. It's like, oh, recommended. I think it said 8 gigabytes of RAM. I was like, okay, cool. I'll just get a laptop with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Big mistake. What they don't tell you, at least what I didn't know, is that Windows just uses like 4 gig of RAM all the time. And so it's like, you've got 4 gig left to play with. So I guess I should have gone for a 16 gig. But every time I open Age of Empires 4, it messages or it like sends a little pop-up. It's like, excuse me, Mr. Drongo, you've only got 1.6 gigabytes of memory available. Are you sure you want to play Age of Empires? Like, well, ideally, yes, if we could, that would be lovely. Gilded Horseman now going to be coming out. Bit of a forward stable. Have a look at this. Hung going for a very nice stable. Got those pointy boys out. The Gilded Horseman on the way. Zerton. Meanwhile, have a look at this. He's got the archery range nowhere in sight. He's going to be going for a barracks together with the mercenary house. It's going to be longbows that he's going into. No real surprise there. We've seen these guys dominate in the meta quite recently and I guess for the last couple of months. And there hasn't been a balance change for months, so there's not going to be really much of a mix-up. Zerton, a bit slow to react right there, does manage to pull out the villager Akratoi defenses. There we go. I got it. I still got it. Don't worry. Takes a fair bit of damage on the Gilded Horseman, but remains okay. Now, keep in mind there is a cooldown on Akratoi defenses as well, so once it has been used, can't be reactivated for quite some time. I think is it 90 seconds? I want to say 90 seconds. Not 100% sure. I just remember I would rush people, and they'd pop Akratoi defenses, and you just wait, and then they can't use it again. So I suspect that's probably what the case is. Have they still got it? No, they don't still have it. There we go. There you go. 2 minutes it's going to take. And look at that timing right there. Right as the armor wears off. Second Gilded Horseman going to be coming in. So just keep in mind this is a tournament game. So both of these players going to be looking to win as much as possible. Pulling out all the cheese, all the stops. Meanwhile, behind this, have a look at Hung. We don't see any indication that he is going to be going for a Castle Age. Making only Gilded Horsemen so far. He's also starting to pick up some upgrades as well. So we see the Iron Undermesh on the way through here. Nice little approach. Going to find a third villager here. So he's managed to take out 3 villagers early on in this game. Zerton in a little bit of trouble here. This is not normally a good thing when you're playing as the Byzantines. Ideally, you want to be keeping these bad boys alive. But now, Lament and I are going to be moving to the backside of the base. We're right on board with Zerton. You can see that his scout over on the other side of the map is just looking at the gold for Hung. He's just trying to get an idea on when is that age up coming through, and the consequence of that is that he's got no real idea where those horsemen are going to be coming from. Do they come from the bottom? Do they come from the west? But now, picking up that nice little border settlement upgrade, he will have all of the ideas, or at least all of the information. They of course, are very, very good at spotting out those units coming through. We can see now he's looking to throw that outpost down as well on the gold vein. Gilded Horsemen's forcing their way back, and I suspect that Zerton probably sees the amount of horsemen that are here, and he's probably starting to wonder as this scout did go down, where is the Castle Age, or not so much where is the Castle Age, when is the Castle Age, because it feels like it's going to be imminent. To me, at least, it feels imminent, right? Because from what I've seen a stable in the middle of the map. I only saw a couple of villagers on gold, but I've only seen a couple of horsemen. So we know it's not going to be that second town center because we've seen the stone. We know that there's not going to be a mining camp on there. So I wonder how Zerton's going to look to play this, because I would suspect he thinks it's going to be a Castle Age, but we don't know. We don't know exactly what he thinks. But let's check in on the other side of the map and have a look how Hung is doing, because not only are the Gilded Horsemen out, the Gilded Archers are making their way down as well. He's picked up all those tier 1 upgrades. Let's check in and see if he's got in the siege engineering. Not quite just yet. A lot of horsemen. Now, with spotting out this many horsemen, this gives you a little bit of a sense of relief. Because you go, oh, okay, he's staying feudal. I can fight him in feudal, which is what you want as the Byzantines. You want to be playing up against him in feudal. The longer that you can hold out in feudal, the better, because that sort of gives you that window to Castle Age. If they get up ahead of you, it's going to mean relics. It's going to mean that you've got trouble with things like Lens Connector as well. But now pushing down towards this position. Gold villagers will be idled out. Keep in mind, range on the Archer, the Gilded Archer, 5.5. compared to your standard 5, so they do have a little bit of extra range. Longbows teeing off. No blacksmith upgrades just yet for Zerton. Keep that in mind. So if we take a look back towards the base of Zerton, not even a blacksmith is down yet. Still just running that double system for the moment. And now checking in on that top side. There's the siege engineering coming through. Not what I expect from Hung at all. I mean, when you're playing up against the Order of the Dragon, especially in a competitive environment, right? You're not thinking that they're going to go for a ram rush. This is kind of wild, especially considering this is a tournament game. So it's not just any competitive environment. This is like a highly competitive environment. This is not a ranked ladder match. First battering ram under construction. Keep in mind we do have the early Gilded Men-at-Arms here. The previously the Order of the Dragon units didn't train or didn't construct battering rams as fast, or they constructed them as fast as normal civilizations or normal units, but they did recently, I say recently, like a couple of months ago, get a buff where they now build the battering rams faster, because obviously, you know, a gilded archer is as strong as 2 archers. Not really, but you pay a lot more for them. Still now pumping out plenty of units. We'll ride on board on this south side and check in with Zertan as he is under pressure or under attack on that palisade gate. Longbow's going to start teeing off. Plenty of Lamentinai here. Keep in mind the Lamentinai have got that special ability, the shield wall, that they love to utilize. Meanwhile, on that front outpost, no upgrades coming through just yet. There it is. The arrow slit's now online. It's got a couple of men-at-arms inside. We know about that. And now Villager's going to get popped. He's got plenty of units. Horsemen as well getting thrown out here. A distinct lack of spears coming through for Hung. But the Horsemen in on the backside, looking to try and pincer in those longbows. Lamentinai not going to allow it to happen. The men-at-arms. Look at this single men-at-arms holding the line against every single Lamentinai. After 15 seconds of brutal stabbing, he finally goes down. But Hung says, don't worry, I've got a second where that one came from. And now falls back, looks to regroup a little bit. We'll check in with the economies and see how they're doing. Back for Hung. Looks like he's picked up the double broadaxe upgrade and wheelbarrow. We also know about survival techniques, but no horticulture just yet. No specialized pick. Meanwhile, on the side of Zertan, we can see he's got no specialized pick, but he does have that horticulture. I was going to say that the horticulture, fertilization together become hortilization. Yes. Economies at the moment, it's pretty even Stevens here. One thing to note is Hung does obviously have much stronger villagers, so even though it's 32 versus 37, there's quite a bit of extra oomph coming through there. We'll switch it over to the income per minute. That gives us a little bit more of an idea. You can see about 1,500 on the side of Hung, compared to about 1,200, 13, 14, 1,500 for the side of Zertan as well, because of that olive oil. But now, pushing forward. Scout's going to go down. Wasn't in a control group. Men-at-Arms also going to be here. Not sure if they've got that extra armor that's come through for them. You know the one I'm talking about, the Cuirass upgrade. Spear's doing a decent job here, but Archer's just able to take out the Lamentinai. Have a look at this on the backside, just focusing them down one by one. Horsemen managed to get it around on the back, and where have the Lamentinai gone? There they are. They're looking to try and clean out that backside, but Zertan might be in a little bit of trouble. 11 Lamentinai on the field. Archer's able to tee it off, and indeed, it's going to be the case. Order of the Dragon with the upset here in the feudal age. Now going to be pushing back Zertan towards that outpost. Second battering ram has now joined. A new set of longbows joins the party as well. This is going to mean that Zertan is off gold at this front side. He's got gold in the back that he can look towards. But keep in mind, the system is not going to be buffing up those villagers. It's going to mean a lower gather rate for them. And of course, it's going to mean plenty of walking time. And a lot less easy to transfer them over as well. That's the other thing to note. It means that if you want 6 fills out on gold, you got to send them out now. There's no real switching them around in between resources out here, even though I guess you do technically have the deer and the wood line and all that good stuff out here. But making their way forward. Zertan with that slight villager advantage. Just keep in mind, though, does not have the strongest villagers in the park. At this stage, that is definitely going to be Hung. Much faster gather rate or higher gather rate. Men-at-arm numbers starting to build now. Is up to 6 gilded men-at-arms, or will be very shortly up to 6 gilded men-at-arms. Longbows. Lamentinai holding for dear life. Horseman numbers as well starting to rise. He's trying his best to get that production out. You can see he's on Conscriptio at the moment, but it's just not going to be enough to hold. His opponent is double the military production or double the military count at the moment. I shouldn't say count, double the military pop. There we go. Double the military population at the moment. Might need a little bit more of a lumber camp down here, though. Longbow's still teeing off. Able to pick off these men-at-arms slowly. We can see that they don't have the most health. Some of these are still needing a little bit of assistance. More units continue to rally across the map. Gilded Archer, Gilded Men-at-Arm. And the numbers just stay strong here. So Zertan's looking for a Castle Age. You can see he's really looming around that direction. Either that or he just wants to produce a whole bunch of units. And I think Castle Age makes sense here. If he can get to a Mango, that would definitely work for him. Alternatively, I don't know where else he could really go for, or what he could go for. Maybe Varangian Guard could be decent here, but realistically, he's up against very fast, speedy Gilded Archers. I say very fast. They've got the same speed as everybody else. But I guess Varangian Guard will have the potential to get kited, though. Just checking in with Zertan on that south side. Still note that gold. He's not even really looking at it at the moment, so just going to add in more production. Throws down a third cistern back here as well. He's got plenty of stone, and perhaps this could be something that we could draw on here with regard to the chance of victory and how things could have changed here for Zerton. If he had gone into this system a little bit earlier, we can see that he's got 0 villagers on the stone, and yet 400 stone. And I guess that's just the case of you're playing the Byzantines, which, as you guys will know, requires a PhD. And there are so many reasons why it requires a PhD, but one of the big things is that you forget little things. So for me, I always forget to add in my systems, and I notice that I've got a whole bunch of stones stacked up, and that's exactly what's happened here with Zerton. He could have been pumping a crazy amount of resources into this. You can see this one's on 10% at the moment, but in the event that it gets maxed out, I think it's, 26%? So he could be working potentially with like an extra 15 to 16% gather rate on all of his villagers right now with the amount of stone that he's got saved up here. But it's just not the case. And that's just that PhD factor. Meanwhile, Hung still 100% committing to the feudal age. Have a look at this back in the base. A little bit of a raid coming in on this north side. Going to be running for his life. That's going to be 3 workers taken down here. Zerton doing a decent job of trying to get back into the game. Exactly what he needs to do to come back into this game. Try and distract the opponent. Keep it all inside the base. But he will lock down that gold. Locks down the deer. Locks down the berries on the backside as well. Now it's going to mean the villagers of Zerton will have to migrate. And we see them starting to move out. Plenty of farms or olive groves, in this case, being idled out here. Horsemen still working their magic towards that top side. Now more units coming in on this bottom side. A couple more archers and men-at-arms arrive to help assist. Longbow number starting to improve, though, for him. He's up to 17 longbows at the moment. Definitely a bit of a pseudo-English style coming through here. You love to see lots of longbows out. Definitely feels very good. And you can see, have a look at this. Look at the damage that gets done here. One shot from the battering rams. Boom, boom. One round of attacks. And that's it. Villager's going to go down here as well. Now Zerton going to be forced back into the pocket. He's got a decent amount of units here. The one thing I'm going to be keeping an eye out, though, is going to be those men-at-arms. Look how much damage they're able to soak out. Meanwhile, those archers on the backside able to do plenty of damage there as well. You've got to be very careful with them. Now looking to try and focus them out. Meanwhile, this whole time, the battering rams are just working their magic, slowly taking out all of this farming economy that took so long to get online. Horsemen, together with the Lament 9, now going to be looking to defend up on that front side. On the back, you've got the longbows teeing off, but remember, you're up against units that have got 4 ranged armor. You've only got 7 attack, which means you're only doing 3 damage a pop. Not to mention, you've also got to deal with that cuirass that's coming through, the golden cuirass. He's holding on for dear life here. 72 military pop versus 35. 17 minutes into this game, we are still 100% in the feudal age, baby. And now, continuing to struggle up against this battering ram. Not a lot of health left on it. More horsemen coming through. Lament and I do get baited forward. He needs an answer to these men-at-arms, though. They're just soaking up so much damage, especially after that golden cuirass comes in. You can see they take barely any damage here. He's done plenty of work on the backside. All the infrastructure for Zerton has been taken out, almost all of it. He's lost 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 farms in this fight, or in this engagement. So you're talking about almost 600 resources going down there. Not to mention the blacksmith, not to mention all that idle time. At the moment, though, 5 workers taken out from the side of Hung. 3 that Zerton's managed to take out. So pretty even there, just considering they do have that little bit of a bonus. And have a look at this. We've got an attempt. I don't think that's an active attempt right now. I think this is just a case of somebody forgot to build or to cancel the mill. Oh, I love it. Look at this. He's brought villagers forward to repair that ram. That ram was living on a prayer, and he's just done quite well with it now. 5 ram. Okay, this is going to be a real issue. The main reason why is because before it was just 1 ram that was slowly tapping away. Now you've got 5 rams that are tapping away, and you still have no answer to this army. You still have no answer to these men-at-arms. And now the villagers dive inside. He's going to try and do a little bit of a villager pop. There's so many archers here, though. That's the other thing to note. With so many archers online, it means that you don't really have the opportunity to siege down these battering rams. We've got 3 on the TC, 2 on the stable. A couple of horsemen going to go into the back line, see if they can find any sort of villager amount. They get 1. That's going to be it. Longbow still picking off, but you can see the number has begun to dwindle. He's down to 14. Archers still doing a great job here, picking off all of the Lament Knife. Ville's now going to be pulled here. He knows it's important. He knows he needs to go right now. If he doesn't go now, he's going to be in trouble. But look at the worker count. The worker count is going to start falling here as he's taken out 14 villagers already this game. It's going to continue to climb. He's trying his best. Town center. It's going to go down. The battering rams, though, he's going to try and work his magic here. And I don't think there's any chance at all he's pulling this back. And he doesn't either. He taps out and says, good game. It's going to be hung on the worst civ, or at least arguably the worst civ, up against one of the best civilizations in 1v1 at the pro level, taking the game. Ladies and gentlemen, go check out EGC TV. Links in the description. We'll catch you guys in the next one.